short. You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I used to see my skin as a traitor, tattletale, rat, giving away a heritage I myself did not know anything about. Growing up in Monterey Park, San Gabriel Valley, Los Angeles, California, Southwest United States of America, there were many people more Mexican than me. That's the way I saw it. But my skin, my brown skin told a different story again and again. It lied to people, telling them I was something I believed I was not. I'd have to make up for its deception.
¿Ya llegó Arbus?
Oh, sorry, I don't speak Spanish. I mean, no hablo español. An older woman could walk up to me at a bus stop and ask me something I didn't understand, and I would feel guilty that I couldn't help her. Yet, I would feel a sense of pride that I could reject her assumption. You assume something about who I am and how I was raised that was incorrect. Let me correct you. No hablo español. I'm just American. 4th generation on my mom's side. Okay, well, on my mom's side only, not my dad's. His family makes me only 2nd generation. But my great-grandparents were born here. Okay, again, only on my mom's side. But yeah, see, okay, my mom's parents, they went to Polytechnic High School in the heart of downtown LA. See, we're just Los Angeles Americans. Well, my maternal grandma is from El Paso, Texas. She came to Los Angeles with her family at 5 years old, sucking on a lemon in the back seat of a Model T Ford. She had a total of 13 siblings. No, not all were in the car that day. Don't make the Mexican joke. Do not make the Mexican joke. Is that the problem? The Mexican jokes? It's what I think about when I sit and ask why. Why did I grow up feeling that being Mexican was something I had to reject? My home Monterey Park is 61.1% Asian, 28.8% Latino, 7.4% white, and 2.5% everything else, according to our 2000 census. In elementary school, I was an obedient, nerdy little girl with a 4.0 GPA, who was on the student council, who was a group leader in her social science class, who tutored kids in algebra during lunch, who obsessed over the poster board for her class presentation to be perfect. All of these things were a part of my identity. What I didn't realize is that these things, in the eyes of others, clashed with another part of my identity. At lunch, sitting in a group of friends, I remember a friend of mine, a boy who was half Japanese, half Chinese, making jokes about other kids at our school, kids who didn't have 4.0 GPAs. "Stupid Mexicans," he said. It took me a second. Then I looked at him blankly. He said, Oh, not you, Maya. You're just like us. You're just like us. From an early age, I learned that to be smart and to be Mexican were mutually exclusive of one another. So to tell that little old lady at the bus stop, "Oh no hablo español," was to say, "Oh, sorry, I'm not Mexican like you. I mean, I have a 4.0 GPA. To have to specify to people, "Oh no, American, 4th generation, born in LA," was to protect myself from assumptions. And, on the other hand, to protect myself from rejection. The fact of the matter was, I really didn't speak or understand Spanish. My dad spoke Spanish, but my mom didn't. My mom didn't because her mom spoke Spanish, but her dad didn't. Her dad didn't because, hey, anytime I tried, people would always be telling me, you don't speak it right. So I says, just forget it. In Chicana activist Gloria Anzaldua's essay, How to Tame a Wild Tongue, she writes, "We're afraid the other will think we're angringadas because we don't speak Chicano Spanish. We oppress each other, trying to out-Chicano one another." I'm from a 4th generation family who has accepted this oppression. When my mom, brother, and I go to one of our favorite restaurants in Boa Heights and La Paria, we can feel the waitresses roll their eyes as soon as we open our mouths. So we learned to reject before rejected. I had to settle with the fact that I couldn't be Mexican even if I wanted to be. But if I couldn't call myself Mexican, what could I call myself in times when American was not good enough? Angringada? Someone who has abandoned their Latino roots and embraced a more Anglo life? Okay, wait. But if I did not grow up around Anglo people, how could I be Anglo? In senior year of high school, one of our teachers said to us, yeah, a lot of the time when people visit college, they tell me, ugh, everyone is so white. I was going to Bennington. I was going to the Northeast, to Vermont. I was prepared. I knew the snow would be white and so would the people. But I just thought, hey, everyone back home is Asian anyway. I'm already used to being the odd one out drowning in majority land. It shouldn't be much different. It was different. It is different. At Bennington, people have brought up the fact that I'm brown in different ways, both harmless and at times microaggressive. I definitely have felt uncomfortable in some of the ways my peers are talking about tonight. But what really caught me off guard and made me uncomfortable in a way I had never anticipated was my first experience with white knighting. The White Knight. You can imagine him on his white horse rescuing the maiden in distress. He helps her because he believes she cannot help herself. To be a white knight is to say, I know what's best for you because I'm civilized and you don't have the education, class, background, privilege, etc. to articulate yourself. Merck was throwing their house party the weekend of May 5th, Cinco de Merco. Now, whether or not that party idea is okay in itself is still questionable to me. I openly say today, I don't know. But I never had the opportunity to make my own opinion about the party itself because the first time I heard about it, I heard less about the party and more about the drama surrounding it. A white student defaced the posters for Merck's party, then perpetuated a whole mess of online fighting on the event page over Facebook. I do not mean to discourage campus-wide conversations about issues concerning race at Bennington, but to deface posters and to use language like, I'm calling out Mercs as racist, is to be pointedly aggressive. Aggression is not the allies' place. The student and I talked online about my discomfort with their actions. In a private message, they apologized to me. They wrote, I fought the way I did because I know too many people who are reduced to the stereotypes that Merck was advertising, and I wanted to protect them, to ensure that they would no longer be treated like concepts or objects. In the process of doing so, I did exactly that. I'm ashamed. I was conflicted. I thought, you are right. The advertisement with a brown man lying lazily at the beach with a sombrero on his dick makes me feel ugly. But the fact that I had to learn what racism is from you plainly embarrasses me. I have missed out on some upper middle class education on racism prior to coming here, haven't I? They told me that if there was anything that made them regret calling out Merck, it is hurting me. I wanted so badly to trust their apology, but they continued to counsel Merck and our school on its racist ways. During that time, I wrote in my journal, a cloud of stress has hovered my week. While I walk, I stare down at the gravel as though red arrows are pointing at my head and stating, the non-white student who needs to be protected, be kind to this one, she's the Mexican. Their comments against racism make me feel further from belonging here, in this place that is supposed to be my 4-year home. That week, I became distrustful. I questioned, what does my brown skin mean to my peers? Is it a first thought, a second in their minds? Am I not Bennington, but Bennington Mexican? Yet again, I had to question my identity. Mexican, but not Mexican enough. Asian, but never really Asian. Bennington student, but. I have a problem with a sentence I've heard over and over again my past few years here. Bennington is white. No. I understand the percentages regarding race on this campus, but think about language. Most Bennington students are white. Most of Bennington's faculty is white. Bennington's founders were white. All those sentences are fine. But to say Bennington is white would make me and other students I know exceptions. We don't want to be exceptions. Especially because Bennington College despite its disconcerting moments, gave me the freedom to reclaim my cultural identity. The move to the Northeast, the absence of Southwest, made me realize how much I do carry with me. Down to simple things like phrases I didn't realize other people didn't use. Instead of boo-boo for a bruise on your arm, coco. Panza, nalgas, chichis. I miss my mom's quesadillas. I miss my mom's quesadillas burnt. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, I did. Okay. I miss my mom's quesadillas, slightly burnt corn tortillas, and crisp melted cheese around the edges. I miss my grandma's salsa, red, juicy, filled with garlic and pepper, charred, salty edges of carne asada, chilaquiles, mole. I went home, asked my mom and my grandma to make the dishes I loved. Heard slight traces of Mexican accents in my mom and my brother's voices. We may not sound like Mexicanos who speak Spanish, but we sound like what we are. Fourth generation, not white. Our tongues aren't completely washed away just yet. My grandma Rodriguez and I try to remember to speak Spanish with one another now, as much as I can handle. I ask her for stories. And it was in Crosset Library that I discovered the Chicana activist I mentioned earlier, Gloria Anzaldúa. She gave me my permission. In her book, Entrevista, she said, "Which is the real Chicana? They all are. The one who speaks Spanish but doesn't know English, the one who speaks English but doesn't speak Spanish, the one who lives in Chicago and not the Southwest, they're all real." Chicana? A woman who embraces her Mexican culture and heritage, but simultaneously recognizes the fact that she is American. That's it. Simple. Chicana is what I want to be. Chicana is what I want to accept I've always been. This past fieldwork term, while driving down Cesar Chavez Avenue on my way to my